What's going on, y'all? We got a video from yours truly, Jimmy High Roller. I was wrong, ... again. NBA Finals Game 1 is tonight, y'all, between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. It's gonna be interesting. I feel like it's got something to do with that. Let's find out.
In the world of sports, anything can happen. I remember when this shot went in and thinking in that moment I just witnessed history. Right. This shot had the entire basketball world standing still for what felt like an eternity before falling in and causing a chain reaction of events that would change the course of the NBA. Or the exact moment we all knew a 3-1 comeback in the finals was brewing, when we knew something big was going to happen and we would all be there to witness it. But despite all the seemingly impossible feats that we've seen take place, of all the improbable comebacks and unlikely stories, there is still one endeavor throughout NBA history that has yet to be accomplished. The 0-3 comeback, a deficit that 151 different teams have found themselves in.
151.
And none of them managed to pull off, including the team that I bet on.
The Heat are going to the NBA.
You bet on the Celtics to pull off the comeback. I mean, hey, I was starting to believe it too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the same thing. I thought the Celtics were actually gonna storm back and beat the Heat because it wasn't looking good. It was not looking good, y'all.
$1 off your first purchase.
Thank you very much.
After falling to 0-3 in the Eastern Conference Finals against Miami, the Boston Celtics were given a 12.5% chance of winning the series. Odds that seemed unrealistically high considering no team has ever pulled off the dreaded 0-3 comeback. But after rallying together and rattling off 3 of the most important wins of their season, the Celtics found themselves with an opportunity to make history.
Sounded like a very high probability.
Improbable last-second buzzer beaters
for something that's never happened.
They had all the momentum. The Heat were deflated. Everything was in Boston's favor. My playoff prediction had somehow
that game winner from Derek White is something.
Hope was still alive.
Something for
sure.
So
what did the Celtics do? They put together one of the most piss-poor Game 7 performances I've ever seen in my life. If you never hear me utter Jaylen Brown's name on this channel again, do not wonder why. Here's an idea. Learn how to dribble a basketball and stop shooting threes. And I would give Jason Tatum a pass for his Game 7 performance since he was playing on a bum ankle, if he didn't shoot 2 for 18 from 3 in his last 3 games. 11% from 3 in consecutive playoff
Did he say 2 for 18?
Games. Brother, hit a shot. And don't even get me started on Caleb first team All-NBA Martin. God forbid he just plays like a normal player against the team that I bet on. No, he has to morph into a human flamethrower for 7 games and rip the hearts out of whatever Boston fans are left after this monstrosity. Have y'all seen Caleb's splits from the Eastern Conference Finals? 19 points per game. 60% from the field.
Dang,
and 49%
60% from the field?
That's 74% true shooting
this man cooking, y'all. This man was cooking.
$6 million a year and outplayed Mr. $100 million contract second team All-NBA Jalen Dribble off my foot Brown. I am sick to my stomach. But I gotta give credit where credit is due. The Miami Heat are tough. They've got a great team with a bunch of guys ready and willing to do whatever it takes to win. There's no ego.
They
no
play
drama.
together, man.
It's just great basketball.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, I said that as sports fans, we love the underdog story, despite the fact that it very rarely happens. Well, it just did. Because the Miami Heat are just the second 8 seed in NBA history to make it to the NBA Finals.
That's insane.
The last team to pull this off were the New York Knicks in the lockout season of 1999. But what the Heat have done this postseason has actually never been done before. Because the worst regular season team to ever make the finals in the modern NBA were the 1981 Houston Rockets, who somehow made the finals despite having a losing record in the regular season. But
bro, that is
this
insane.
team is the first team since the 1959 Minneapolis Lakers to make the finals while carrying a negative point differential throughout the regular season, which means the Heat were essentially a below average team that somehow made it to the NBA Finals. So
A
how does
negative
a team
point
with absolutely
differential.
no
Ain't that
business
like-
even leaving a mark on the postseason manage to make it to the final stage just 4 wins
It's
away
like
from an NBA
the amount
title?
that you lose by,
Well,
right?
I want to take a moment to touch on a subject that
Isn't
I
that
don't think
what
gets
it
talked
is?
about enough. The alpha. You know how in modern NBA discourse, whenever anyone brings up Mamba mentality, they're laughed at and dismissed like whatever they're referring to doesn't actually exist, or that it's even a misconception of some sort. To this day, especially older
Jimmy
fans of the
Jimmy
game will
definitely
talk
got
about
that
how the
mindset,
greatest players of
y'all.
all
He definitely
time
got
had
that
the-
mindset.
Don't make me say it. Killer mentality. Over the years,
he-
this was a
yeah,
critical
he
talking
do got
point
that
among
killer
NBA
mentality.
fans on
Sorry,
how
there's a
some
jet
players
going over
found
my house,
success
y'all.
in defining moments, while
I can't do
others
anything about
continued
that.
to fall short. This narrative in particular began to lose its credibility sometime over the last half decade or so, as any player
Dang.
who didn't win a title was labeled as soft or lacking the killer mentality, despite there being about a million other factors that were failed to be considered. But we just saw firsthand what grit and determination and integrity and this elusive killer mentality that we've
Yeah.
been dismissive of for years can do for a player and a team. Is Jimmy Butler more
Jimmy got that
talented
dog
than
in him,
Jason
y'all.
Tatum? No.
Man
And
got
it's
that
not
dog in him for
particularly
real.
close. Is Caleb Martin nearly as talented as Jaylen Brown? Well, after this last series, I'd sure as hell say so. But really, no. Jaylen is the far more talented player. Should Gabe Vincent and Max Strus be starting throughout an entire conference final series? Well, if talent was the deciding factor,
No.
then no.
But it's the
But it's
system.
not. When you've got a leader who is willing to do whatever it takes to win and makes no excuses, rises to the occasion, and has the guts, no, the audacity to take on any challenge that stands in front of him, that mindset becomes contagious. Slowly,
That's true.
everyone
It's
on
also-
your team begins
you
to
gotta
believe,
give credit to
even
the
if
coach,
it's
too.
irrational, that they
feel
too
like.
are capable of anything. One of the
But
reasons
yeah,
why I have
he
Kobe
definitely
Bryant ranked so high among my all-time greatest players,
has a lot
among
of
other reasons,
confidence
was
in
his
his teammates.
attitude towards the game.
For
His
sure.
fearless approach to whatever or whoever stood in his way was at times a fault, sure, but it was always daring and unashamed. Kobe missed a lot of shots, but one thing he never did was be afraid to take them. Not even for a moment in his entire
facts.
career did he ever doubt himself.
Facts.
Kobe, similar to Michael Jordan, and what we're seeing in Jimmy Butler, was the alpha of all alphas. If they were on your team, winning was not guaranteed. But one thing that was certain was that if they're
You
going
do
down,
have to- you
they're
gotta
going
have
down
that trust
swinging.
in your
What I
teammates,
saw
man.
from the Celtics, and even on
One
a larger
player can
scale
only
throughout
take
the
you so
league,
far,
is almost
you
some
know?
sort of mass extinction of
You
the
need to have
killer
trust in
mentality.
in your
We always
teammates
talk
in order
about
to-
talent,
in order to get to that
potential,
next level.
skill sets, who can get a bucket, but what about the guy who refuses to lose? How many of those guys exist in today's NBA? Sure, Jason Tatum is talented, but is he truly willing to go to hell and back to win? The idea of a player who possesses an unshakable will to win at all costs, a killer mentality, is not just some sort of myth built up on nostalgia or personal bias or narrative. It is a real, tangible thing. It's funny because Jimmy Butler isn't nearly the best player in the NBA, and yet we can't help but to see shades of Michael Jordan in him when he's on the court. It's not because he's an era-defining talent. It's not because he can defy gravity or inspire an entire generation. It's because he's a winner, a leader, the bedrock of what every championship team needs. He backs up every word that comes out of his mouth. He doesn't make excuses. He leads by example, and he will do anything to win. And this isn't just some reactionary take on the outcome of these games. Even if the Celtics won this series against the Heat, I still think the vastly talented duo of Tatum and Brown, like many other players, would have accomplished it off of sheer talent and possibly execution. But what happens when the shots stop falling? What happens when the defense figures you out and your bag isn't enough? What happens when it gets quiet and everyone's looking at you, waiting for an answer? Whenever a player or a team wins, the reaction is always the same. Excitement, joy, relief. But you might find out a lot more by paying attention to how a player reacts when they lose. You can't fake this. Are they genuinely upset? Are they hell-bent on getting better, being the best? Sure, there's not a single
Yeah.
player who takes joy in
Adversity is
losing,
where
but what about
true
the player
character
who
is
is
revealed,
tormented
y'all.
by loss? If a
Adversity
player
is
lacks this
where
quality,
true character
I'm not
is
sure if
revealed.
talent will simply fill the gap. I don't know. There's just something
Talent
about a
can only
player
take
who
you so
cannot
far.
accept
We
losing.
saw that with the
You know
Brooklyn
it when you
Nets.
see it, and you
With
sure as hell
Kyrie,
know it when you don't.
Harden, and KD.
Either that, or I'm just mad that the team that I bet on fell short of a championship for the second season in a row. I hate the Celtics.
Oh man, poor Jimmy. Poor Jimmy. That's tough. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. I mean, the Heat are a special team because they play together. Jimmy Butler is a really good player, and then he's just got this trust in his teammates that like you can just see it on the court, like the trust that he has, where he'll give the ball to somebody else, and he'll just let his teammates do their thing, you know? Not very many superstars in the league do that. Not very many superstars will give the ball to their teammates and say, "Here, go do your thing." Like, not very many players in the league have that kind of trust. So that's definitely special about Jimmy. I will catch you all in the next one. Game 1 of the finals is tonight.